Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Hey, what's happening? Happy Monday. Good morning, and welcome onto the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score. 107thescore.com and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Brought to you, as always, by Happy State Bank. I almost said also on television. Not yet. 2 hours till
No sombreros.
No sombreros. He's Geoff Haxton. I'm Chois Woodman. Lucas White across the way taking care of us. You too can join us. Your thoughts, comments, questions, reaction to what you saw on Saturday or other parts of the weekend. Everything welcome on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. It is an overreaction Monday, so if you want to overreact, which I will say, Hax, I saw a lot of overreaction right after the game, during the game.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Some craziness on Twitter. Tech fans, you are back at full force. But yeah, if you got any overreaction you want to get in today, you can do so. We'll hand out ours coming up a little bit later. Plenty to react to. We'll look ahead. We have a poll question today. Will Texas Tech make a bowl game?
Oh, no.
It's a simple one. We've seen nothing but confidence.
Yeah,
from this
I was
fan base.
wondering if we're going to get to a point where it'll swing and go the complete opposite way.
Well,
because you've got, 85% we're going to win out of 200 voters, 80% we're going to win, 90% we're going to win. Is it going to flop and just go bah and just go to the complete opposite end?
Well, very early on, 51% say yes, Tech's going to make a bowl game. So still there, 2 out of 3 games left. Texas Tech's got to do it. I will say with definitive bravado in my voice, Hacks, you have to win this weekend to make a bowl game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. And Kansas just dismantled Oklahoma State, so that probably knocks the Dabra down a bit for some people. Anyway, plenty to dive into. And, oh, by the way, basketball season has arrived. Tonight, Red Raiders on the hardwood at United Supermarkets Arena, taking on the Northwestern State Demons. Of course, we'll have the game for you on Double T 97.3 at 7:30, part of a doubleheader there in the arena. Lady Raiders take on A&M Corpus Christi prior to that. So we're there.
We're there.
We're there. We've made
You had these extra pair of gloves this whole time?
This whole time?
This has been a long journey for me to get from that last out in Georgia to here as far as calling Tech games.
Mm-hmm.
And it has not been easy. So I'm thrilled to get back out there today and can honestly say ready for it. So got to do a whole bunch of work on it yesterday, and a little bit of a shortened pregame show for us because of the stacked doubleheaders. We'll be on the air at 7:30 and then take you right up to the tip at 8 for the men's call.
How's your weekend?
It was awful. It was
good. I'm not the only one.
It was really bad. Let's see. The boys got a tournament game, loss. Then I'm just going to go in order here. So
no more dingers.
No. He was over 2 with an RBI, but they lose 5-3. My dad got so excited that he hit a home run that he came down from Edmond to watch him play. So lost there. I'm doing Texas Tech TCU volleyball. Lost there, but I think football actually lost to TCU before the loss to TCU in volleyball. So that's 1, 2,
Correct.
3. And then I knew Oklahoma State was in the tank, but then to watch them not tackle anyone for an entire game and lose to Kansas. And then having to, be a counselor for my son for an entire day and telling him that 11-win seasons aren't what you get every time. You should have watched OSU when I did when I was your age.
Oh, my gosh.
Which was a bunch of 2-8.
Yeah.
2-7-1. 1-0, 9-1. And so It was exhausting and not a lot of fun, and I just felt like I needed to wear a cup the entire day. And then look at Lucas's face. He ain't happy.
I wonder why.
So we got a lot of just let's maybe get some good feelings, some good mojo going tonight with basketball. Maybe that'll take us through this week.
Lucas should be extremely happy. We'll find out about the Tiny Whale in a little bit. But, I mean, Liberty won over Arkansas, and the Chargers won yesterday. So you should be pretty happy.
So, yeah, on a realistic scale, the Liberty won, which is really, really impressive.
Holy moly. I think they were 14.5-point dogs in that one.
Yeah, 13.5. And then the Chargers, with no receivers, beat Atlanta, which is it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then the game that scared me the most was the Mississippi State-Auburn game.
That was fun, and we'll get to hear from Mike Leach.
He's going back to the well.
He is going back to the well, and I'm all for it. We'll hear from Mike Leach.
You see him collapsing the chairs?
Yes. What did they say? I saw on Twitter.
He's a madman.
This is peak football guy move. Yeah, this is exactly right. He's collapsing the chair. You guys don't deserve to sit down with the way you're playing.
Yeah.
It feels like everybody's high school coach.
Fat little girlfriend.
Fat little girlfriend. So we'll hear from that coming up, or hear from Coach Leach coming up a little bit later to brighten everyone's morning. Hopefully. Man, rough weekend for the Red Raiders, of course. Hopefully we get a little pickup from Tech basketball tonight.
And I wouldn't have survived what you went through. So, I mean. Oh, God, I was feeling so bad for you.
Up front, out in the open, there was, it's not secret. It was all over social media and people. But 8 hours, 8.5 hours. Some of us were 8.5 hours where you're sitting literally on a plane, where I think the maximum anybody got was 30 minutes. Players were out there for about 30 minutes where they could walk around. Other people kind of 20 minutes. And that was it. You're on a plane the rest of that time. And the reason it was that way is because they kept telling you, we're about to. Or there's about to be an opening. We're going to take off. About to be an opening. And it never came. Except there were opportunities that were mishandled by some that were in charge, and I'm talking about in charge in like TSA, in air traffic control, in the airline we flew on. It was a disaster. And for teams that are such creatures of habit, I'm not saying this is why Texas Tech lost the game, but you were tired in the fourth quarter. If you watch that game there. And that can be because you've left your defense out there a giant chunk of the fourth quarter. But that team was dragging towards the end of the game, and to sit on a plane for 8 hours, that's not normal.
Now, I've had millions of these, but none close to 8 hours, okay? And I've had a lot of mistakes that I've been able to sit there and observe. The biggest thing about this, it messes with your head.
Yeah, mentally draining.
It messes with your head so much because what you're about to go and try and achieve is such a big deal with so many moving parts. And now our parts at the biggest part, which is the airplane, can't move.
Yeah.
It really, really messes with your head.
I didn't realize how exhausted I was until we finally got back home, and it was just.
Yeah, you run on adrenaline only for so long.
Yeah. It was pretty rough and not normal. All right, lots of your thoughts. We'll get to those. Headlines next on 100.7 The Score.
Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Geoff Haxton of Chois, Woodman. This is the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score and 107thescore.com. Time for a few headlines for you. Lots of your thoughts rolling in. Overreactions, regular reactions, underreactions. I don't know if there's any under there, but we'll get to some of that on the Yates Flooring Center chat line in a moment. Right now, time for some headlines. Hax, let's start with the National Football League. I don't know if I'm the only one to interpret or to take it in this way. There were a lot of close games, but not many great games yesterday. Last night, again, it was an ugly slugfest. The Chiefs win it 20-17 over the Titans. End up getting the victory there. It was as rough as it could have been. Malik Willis, deer in the headlights for sure for Tennessee, but Mahomes does just enough to get them past a very physical Tennessee team and win it 20-17. But I don't know. I watched a lot of football yesterday. There were a lot of close games. Was that? Did you take it the same way?
I thought it was a thing of beauty.
Oh, okay.
I loved it because it was.
No, I'm not just talking that game. I'm talking the whole.
No, but that's the
whole.
one that I've paid the most attention to.
Okay.
So that's the one I'm not talking about.
No, that game was good. That game was good.
It was, I think, a thing of beauty because you've got in the NFL, you've got Malik Willis versus Patrick Mahomes, and they had to expend every piece of energy just to get that victory because the Titans made the Chiefs play that they want to play. They played their style. So you can have Malik Willis who can't throw it to a wideout and all these things. Just watching Derrick Henry run is worth everything for me because nobody runs it quite like he does anymore.
Yeah.
And to see that field shot or the shot in the air looking down into the huddle and see how big he is. Oh, good Lord. I hate to step in front of him. But no, I thought just the contrasting styles, the coverage of the game, from the announcers to the sounds and everything, I just thought it was wonderful. I loved every minute of it.
It was pretty darn good football. That was,
and they were 12, 14-point underdogs, and again, they made Kelsey mad, made all these guys, again, just play it to the bone to get a win.
Something else happened over the weekend, Hax. The Astros won a world championship, a World Series, unfortunately. The good news, Dusty Baker, after being in baseball for more than 50 years. Hold on, I've got the actual. Let's see. He started as a player in 1968. Started in 1968, more than 50 seasons in professional baseball.
I
And
wonder
Dusty
if he gets
Baker
those
finally
plastic
gets,
toothpicks. You think?
because he chews on them so much.
Yeah, I mean the regular wooden ones wouldn't hold.
They don't
up.
last very long. I don't know. Maybe he just goes through a pack of regular ones every single game. This one was pretty crazy to see that Baker has been in baseball that long, but finally gets the championship. Good for him. You said it, Astros, after they pulled it out in Game 5, that we wouldn't see a Game 7. You were right. The Astros win it over the weekend 4-1 over the Phillies. Mattress Mac gets even richer.
Mattress Millions.
That's the largest bet
in
history. Largest World
Did
Series
they say
bet.
where he made it? Caesars?
MGM.
MGM. Take that, MGM.
$75 million.
I wonder if they offered him the old bailout package, go ahead and take it now for a W.
I bet they probably said, hey, before Game 6, here's $50 million. Like, just like, hey, here, you don't even have to keep staying with this. $50 million. But after Game 5, I'm sure there was something like that on the table.
There's also mattress middle finger probably to that. It's like, no, I've got you guys right where I want you. All the hard work's done. We're going to take home $75 million.
NBA action. Something happened. If my computer will catch up with me. We'll come back around to NBA because something I know is happening tonight. College basketball season tipping off, starting with the Lady Raiders at 5 o'clock on the coverage start time. You can listen in on 107.7 Yes FM. It'll be a 5:30 tip-off. If you're planning on getting out there, get there by 5:30 to see tip-off between the Lady Raiders and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Then we'll have Red Raider basketball for you about 7:30 on the coverage start time. Not about exactly 7:30 on the coverage start time, unless what's the unless we get like a quadruple overtime.
Yes, yeah. We're not starting our pre then.
We hope that doesn't happen with Texas A&M Corpus Christi and the Lady Raiders.
Did you hear how many men's games tonight?
How many?
The number?
Well, I would guess everybody in the country tips off, right? It's got to be close, so that would be Almost 200.
No, 126.
Okay, then not everybody's taking off. So
126.
Well, 126 times 2 is 262 teams. Nope, 52. 54. There we go. I knew I'd get there eventually. 52. I quit. Math on air is hard. So quite a few teams tipping off the season this evening. In the NBA, no Texas teams in action as of last night. We'll see the Spurs in action tonight, hosting the Nuggets. The Rockets are in Orlando taking on the Magic at 6:15, and the Mavericks are at home against the Brooklyn Kyrie-less Nets at 8:45 tonight. Don't forget High School Fan Zone for you. Coming up right here on 100.7 The Score at 7 o'clock. Coaches from Estacado and Coronado will join Tommy Wood in the First United Bank Studios. I believe they'll be doing some wrap-up shows for those two teams this evening. Oh, no, not wrap-up for Estacado, I don't believe, but for Coronado. And then Rams and Saints will join that one in progress tonight afterwards.
Ravens.
What do you see up there? I believe you, but look at that. Yeah, I know I watched the Rams game yesterday. I should have known that they lost to the Buccaneers. Do you see that?
I see Ravens.
Okay. My eyes are bad. Whew. Ravens and Saints. It's just like if there's an R and then some squigglies and an S. That's what I see.
They actually look like Ravers.
Ravers and Saints. My bad. Ravens and Saints. That's what happens when you're beholden to the big board. All right, join us with your thoughts. Lots of your overreaction coming in. Bobby Hot Dog says, Choice, going forward, can we refer to this week as Clint Sucks Week? I think we have to. We're all inclusive here with the end of the bench, so we've got to go Clint and Chuck, right? Clint and Chuck Sucks Week.
You know what? I'm happy for him.
Yeah, they got to a bowl game. Now stop.
Collaborate
Just
and
stop.
Listen.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're happy for them?
They never get to enjoy football success.
I know, and it's
like decades of getting smacked in the face.
They cheat their way through basketball, so they don't deserve it in football.
Yeah.
I mean,
boy, my dad, they showed Bill Self. He's like, God, I want to look at that guy. I go, me either, Dad. Me either. Because at that point, I think KU was up by like 3 touchdowns, and OSU just decided after the Texas game the season was over, and they're hanging out with their fat little girlfriends, and now all of a sudden you see Bill Self up there smiling. We're untouchable. NCAA can't touch us.
I know, man. I think Hax
they're so mad they're gonna pop OSU again.
Hax, as I look back on the weekend, my hatred for TCU has grown immensely. Did you see the social media after the game? Not tech social media, but TCU.
Yes, sir.
They spent, instead of celebrating, hey, we just won, we moved to 9-0, they spent 75% of their tweets trolling and bashing on Texas Tech, including former child of Texas Tech great Spike Dykes trolling on Texas Tech. Sonny Dykes. Hope his dad was rolling over in the grave a little bit. This was, man, the hatred level. Go freaking Longhorns this weekend. That's where it's at for me. I want to see them just eliminate TCU. Crush them. That's how bad the hatred is there. Which is good for college football. I think they have risen to number 1 on the football hate list for me. Where are they for you? Tell us on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll get to lots of your thoughts rolling in. Some Overreaction Monday about 20 minutes away. It's the end of the bench on 100.7 The Score.
Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
2, you're hanging with the End of the Bench on a Monday edition. Here on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. alongside Geoff Haxton. I'm Chois Woodman. Lucas White back behind the glass taking care of us once again today. Keep hitting us up. We got about 1,000 texts this morning. A little bit of an over-exaggeration, but not much. Keep them coming on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. We'll try to get to as many as possible. Tons of people are agreeing with you, Hax, on the Gus Johnson front. A lot of people agreeing with lots of what we've said. Some disagreements. Still plenty to dive into, as we will. Colin and plenty. There have been a couple of questions about officiating on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. It's not the reason you lost the game. It did have an impact on the game, though, in various points. Colin says the officiating in that game Saturday was not defendable. That was one of the worst officiated games I've ever watched. PI calls, no calls, the face mask, the tech player dribbling a forward pass, and the game just goes on. The crew should be placed on leave.
Dribbling the forward pass. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was – so that was Nehemiah Martinez where he tossed it clearly in front of him. Should have been an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
So that was the least of everything. The one that kills you.
I don't know. That's pretty big to just say, hey,
well, are they going,
that's a complete rule change.
You're
talking about effect of the game, on the
game. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you had plenty of affecting plays that were huge in this game. None bigger than the Tyree Wilson phantom face mask
shoulder
call.
Pad tackle is now face mask.
Was that okay? So is Max Duggan a heady enough player to turn his head and make it look like a face mask in that moment?
I saw a guy last night for the Titans right before they were, when they were trying to get in for the 2-point conversion. He had his helmet shoved up by Kelsey.
Yeah, I saw that.
And as he turns and runs, it's been pushed up so far that he knows it's almost off, so he reaches up and pops his chin strap. Pops the chin strap, and it goes flying off.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely, he did it.
Well, I mean, I saw already like this should be.
But no one talked about that.
No.
But he was so desperate to get
the hands
of
the
referees to say, "Listen, this guy drove my head face mask up so far, but it didn't come off, so I'm going to run and pop it. Now it comes off."
Yeah.
So guys will do anything.
Yes, they will. Anyway, so the Tyree Wilson one was backbreaking for you because you're up 17-13 at that point when the Tyree Wilson phantom face mask call comes in. Would have been I believe, calculated to 3rd and 14 Hacks after the sack that would have happened, which Tyree Wilson played like a man among children again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just
best player on the field,
just a beast. And there were a ton of scouts there to watch him, by the way. Anyway, that one hurts you because you would hope, no guarantees, but you hope you're going to be able to stop them on 3rd and 14. You had most of the game in any sort of 3rd and long situation. And then you get the ball back with a 17-13 lead, and would be decent field position at that point. So that's a crushing play. There were other ones like the pass interference. No one knew what pass interference was in this game. I mean, 2 guys get tangled up in the end zone. Rashad Williams gets a pass interference. Saw one angle that's, I don't know. You had another one. Bradley was fighting for his life most of the game. And then the Miles Price one where he gets the big old bear hug and he's trying to catch the ball behind his back.
Almost caught it, but as clear of a pass interference call, so he's getting tackled as the ball's getting there. It was rough. It was a rough officiated game on national television. There's going to be plenty of things that Joey McGuire is going to hear today from the officials. I know that line judge really well. He's
do you?
Yeah. Through a weird connection with my wife, he was in the middle of a bunch of calls too.
Yeah. Man, it was tough. I mean, but again, you can get all into conspiracies and stuff. This was not good for me. You know what I watched on the 8-hour wait? I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, let's get to this on Netflix because I'm just sitting here. I watched the Tim Donaghy. So it's already got the conspiracies rolling in my head. The Tim Donaghy
if you watch
Untold thing.
If you watch that, you'll think that every referee that's ever done it is.
Well, the part that was fascinating too is the true. I mean, he truly talks about. And now again, that's the guy that cheated. So you You got to take his word
boy,
for whatever.
did he cheat.
But he talks about how the league would tell them, hey, we want this team to get favorable calls. We want this player to get favorable calls. So I'm just sitting here thinking during the game, the Big 12 wants TCU to stay undefeated. And
They're our only chance.
They're our only chance at the big payout of the college football playoff. They're going to lose this weekend. But I don't know. The obvious block in the backs on the touchdown punt return. There were two of them on that play, and it was
Tim
the very first one.
I love how Tim pointed fingers at everyone else,
yeah,
except himself. I didn't affect the game. I didn't affect the outcome.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. Because again, 17-13 game in the fourth quarter. These are huge moments, and you have to be better at your job. You are getting paid tons of money, a lot of money for a side gig. You can't miss calls, or you can't blow calls, or choose not to blow your whistle at certain moments. And
but all right, step back a little bit, okay? Because what you're describing is something that I see almost every game.
You talking about football?
Yeah, I mean, just missed, and not like every call, but they're big missed calls in almost every game I watch
that have a giant effect on the game. But
what about your giant implications on the way that you operated?
I guess
not you as the engineer in the booth, but going for it in your own territory, giving them a 35-yard field.
You got 5 fingers. You got plenty to point with. I mean, there's a lot of pointing. I'm not saying that. I said this before, and you always have to preface, you did not lose the game because of officiating, but they had an absolute effect on the game.
But what about you're shuffling through, let's see, a freshman quarterback who got hurt, a guy that's been hurt his entire life in Lubbock,
sure,
and then Donovan Smith, who has his own limitations. And on the other side is Duggan, like it or not, has made plays all year long.
Sure,
and when they absolutely had to make plays, their offensive line blew you up in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely did.
Big holes for Miller. They were able to run the football.
Miller's the MVP of the game to me. Offensive line that gave Miller those holes.
You know, point some more fingers at you. On that ball that you're carrying, they hand it off to Miller, and Krishawn Merriweather at the 2-yard line tries to tackle the football instead of Miller.
Yep. No,
he says, thank you very much. You're not going to take this football from me in this situation, and I'm going to take 2 more steps and be in the end zone.
You're not wrong. You're not. There are plenty of fingers to point. My point was, why did Texas Tech seemingly get none of the beneficial calls in this game? True. I mean, really, you look at all the big ones that affected the game, you didn't get any benefit from them. Even the Nehemiah Martinez play. I mean, that would have actually been fine if it ended up being a fumble, because you would have got it back. It's the end of the bench. Hax's Highs and Lows next.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
On to hour number 3. It's the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score, 107thescore.com, and the 100.7 The Score mobile app. Alongside the one and only Geoff Haxton, I'm Chois Woodman. We've got Jackson Frazier across the way taking care of us. How we doing, Jackson?
Good. It's freaking hot in here.
Okay, you're feeling it too.
Yeah.
Have you shed any clothes already?
That's all I have. I can't take off anything else.
Hey, no one can see you.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
That is true.
People can see us if you want to on the television side of things. Fox 34 News Now. You can do so there. Optimum Channel 9. Also, don't forget, check out our podcast page up at 107thescore.com as well as doublet973.com. We have podcasts, the best of all 4 of our local shows between the 2 stations, our 2 weekend shows with Saturday Morning Quarterback, Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby, and also the Ask Level podcast. Podcasts available there at doublet973 and 107thescore.com. A whole lot still coming in on the chat line regarding football. Hax will return to some football in just a little bit. You got questions, too. We've got Ask the Benchwarmers coming your way at 11:45 this morning. But first, basketball season starts tonight. Kind of rough for it to start after a football game because we haven't got to devote near as much time to it as it deserves. But Hax, this is a brand new team.
Brand new team.
As we're so used to. What do we have? 3 returners.
3 returners. And
one of those really with minutes. Yeah. Daniel Bacho expected to get a lot more minutes this year. But I guess my first question for you is, what do we see? Because I think these are going to be 3 games that are very similar to each other before Maui. Mm-hmm. But what do we see in these 3 games leading up? We're going to see trying to figure out rotations already. What's that going to look like for us?
Well, I think you're going to see a ton of defense. Your team is going to be good at the jump defensively. You're really going to lean on that, and that's not coming from me. I mean, Mark Adams has said that in press conferences and in interviews that he's done. So you're going to be trying to figure out what will be, no doubt, new offense. I think with the departure of Barrett Peary and Steve Green coming in, you'll be learning how to play offense as those coaches want you to, and as you can with just so many new players and who's going to play what positions. You're going to be finding out how life is without Fardaws Aimaq, because I think this team, through the transfer portal, through recruiting, through everything, was built to kind of be constructed around him, and now you don't have him because of the broken foot. So you have to be a team that is going to be able to shoot from 3-point range, the perimeter. You're going to have to be a team that can make those, because think about how much strength and power and girth and athleticism all at the same time that you had with Bryson Williams, that you had with Marcus Santos Silva, that you had on down the line. Those guys, again, were dogs, and you're going to miss those guys. So I really think KJ Allen will be off the bench in a hurry, because Bacho is still a guy that fouls too much and is still a guy that can go in short spurts. So I've said this before. I think you'll see KJ up there quickly and in the lineup. I think your starting 5 is going to be Tyson, Pop. So Davion Harmon at the 1, Pop at the 2, Tyson at the 3, O'Banner at the 4, Bacho at the 5. And you're going to start learning to play together, because you're going to need to be at a pretty decent level when you head out west to Maui, because that's a loaded tournament.
Sure. So, you mentioned Bryson Williams there.
And by the way, Northwestern State, 3 returners. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's going to be college basketball.
You have to really dig to do your homework, because the easiest way to do your homework is if a guy's played there before.
Sure, because then they have it all in the game notes. You can see it if you.
I think this kid's name is Cedric Taylor, and there's one that's named Zelen Baba.
That's fun.
And there's another one, and that's it.
Fun to say. So, who can be the Bryson Williams of this year? And I
nobody.
Asked that. Well, I asked that knowing that you can't have any expectations for someone to come in and carry a team the way Bryson did last year. And really, he only did it from January on. I mean, if you think about he didn't have consistency out of Williams until basically you get to conference play. Then it was, holy cow, this guy's amazing. But who is that guy that can come in as a newcomer and be a carrier of the team, if you will?
I think maybe Kerwin Walton can do some things as far as care. I don't know if he's a consistent.
I guess I'm asking offensively here.
Yeah, I know. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
If he's a consistent 3-point shooter like he was his first year at North Carolina, he'll be massive for you. Harmon's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Isaac's going to have ball in his hands a ton. But there's just choice there. There ain't no. I mean, like when you go back and you're drafting your all last 7 years team, Bryson Williams is going to be in the top 5 picks.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, Keenan's going to be in there. We've done this before.
Got to throw Culver.
Culver's Keenan and Culver 1 and 2.
Yep.
And then you're going to get into, who do you like? I always wanted Moretti on my teams because of his sniping ability. I wanted the free throw automatic. I wanted
Matt Mooney, Tariq Owens. You got a lot to pick from. You do. But Bryson Williams.
Bryson Williams, so much. They're different players, but he was so much better than Tariq. Tariq was a shot blocker, dunker, get the fans pumped up, and there's need for that on every team coast to coast. I'm not throwing shade here at Tariq. I love him. But Bryson was so much better as just an all-around player.
Well, I think they both fit your need for what they needed to be on your teams very well.
By the way, do you know Baylor's playing right now?
I did not. Can we watch it? Or is it on some sort of plus?
Plus.
Darn it. Is there a game on? Sure. Maybe there is a game on right now. I haven't even looked. So,
Mississippi Valley State. They're underway.
On the ESPNs?
Plus.
Why is it all on the plus? We should get a box in here. It would make sense. So, no, I think when you look at Williams and Tariq, they're both guys that fit their teams for what they needed to be. I mean, they both fit very well. And Williams, if you think about last year, if you don't have Williams, are you even making the NCAA tournament? I mean, it's a question. You're a bubble team, maybe.
You're making the tournament, but you have no chance to advance like that team did.
It's unbelievable how much impact he had. And hopefully you can have one of those guys. Davion Harmon might have to be that this year. This is leadership-wise. I think you're going to need a lot out of that guy. And I'm excited to see it.
Left-handed one.
Bring in your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Lots of questions already in. We'll get to those about 30 minutes from now with Ask the Benchwarmers. Keep them coming. Got some headlines to bring you real quick next on 100.7 The Score.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
The Score and the Benchmark hotline if you want to call us, 806-771-0973. He's Geoff Haxton. I'm Chois Woodman. Jackson Frazier across the way. Questions for any and all of us are welcome. A whole lot in Hax, so we're going to dive into plenty of these. Someone asked, Hax, what about Elijah Fisher? This was earlier when you were talking about the team. What do you expect from him?
Well, mega athleticism. Believe it or not, the way that he's going to be able to find more time than not. So think of him as just right here at, he's in the middle. He's going to get some playing time. His time will go up because of his defensive effort more than his offensive effort. Now, if the offense comes along with it, then his playing time is going to go through the roof.
Sure.
But the offense right now is a little bit of a problem with him because he's so strong right-handed. Not really reliable as a three-point shooter at this moment. I really think he'll get there. We're looking at a 5-star talent here. Also remember that he reclassified, so he's super young, very green, but has been going through quite a few months now of what Mark Adams expects and what the program expects. But when you see him, you'll be like, heck yeah, I'm so glad that guy's on our team because he's a tremendous-looking athlete, but really strong right-handed. When he goes up for the jumpers, you can tell that's just not quite a strength, from three-point range. But hopefully can get some slash, can get some defense, can get some hands-on passes. We're always looking for as many deflections as possible, and he's that long guy. But just a reminder, you only had like 2 or 3 freshmen play across the Big 12 last year. There's a reason for that because this is a man's league, and you better – be able to physically go up against your competition. So you're going to see 3 freshmen play for Texas Tech. So even though we think about O'Banner, old, Davion Harmon, old, there's not a lot of middle. Like Bacho's kind of your only
That's what's
middle.
Different about this team than other teams in the past is that a lot you've had kind of just a –
I think this will be looked at as a young team because you're going to be relying on maybe 3 freshmen.
But then
without Fardaws, you may see Robert Jennings some.
Okay. Speaking of Fardaws, Brennan says, Hack, say Fardaws is out the majority of the season. What happens to the team? What happens for this team to make a Big 12 run? I think a run at the title. What has to
you
happen?
develop 4 guys that can absolutely shoot the lights out of it.
Okay. Is it true Fardaws has another year of eligibility?
Don't think so.
You think he's a super?
Don't think so. But now that I think about it,
I think he is. I think he's just.
there was only 2 years at Utah Valley State and 1 year at the
I think
community
he's got
college.
The COVID year.
I think he probably does. Now that
I'll
you mentioned
look and
that,
see if I can search that out. Another question: Benchwarmers, who has the most fraudulent undefeated record? Eagles or Texas Christian? Both seem very fortuitous on not have about 3 losses apiece by now.
I think it's
That's
TCU.
from Bobby Hot Dogs. Yeah, I think it's TCU. Even though I want to, with Jackson staring daggers, I want to say the Eagles, but
I think it's TCU. You hate TCU a whole lot more than the Eagles right now.
I do. I think TCU. How many losses down the stretch? You got Texas, at Baylor. I'm trying to remember.
1.
I think they lose 2.
I hope so, but I think it's 1.
I think they lose this weekend. Really do.
Duggan's this big difference, man.
He wasn't the difference maker in the game against Tech, right? I mean, I kept waiting for him
I don't know.
to kind of
The
explode.
touchdown that he threw to go ahead, he threw it. There's one guy, and then there's 4 Tech defenders around him.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a pass.
It was. But he wasn't the one that – it wasn't Duggan putting the team on his back and beating you like we've seen a lot of times in Big 12 play for
You're
Duggan.
used to Duggan running it all over you.
Kendre Miller that kicked your butt, and you kind of kicked your own butt at times in the fourth quarter. Benchwarmers, will Tech be favored in the final 2 games of the season, football-wise? Also, how many home games will Tech Hoops not be favored in this year?
You will not be favored against Kansas.
On January 3rd, I believe.
You will not be favored against Baylor. And that's it.
Fardaws Amok is not listed as a super senior right now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So,
I just hadn't thought of it yet.
I hadn't thought that either, but so that's good, maybe, if he chooses it.
He's got the cast on currently, but it's about to come off.
So
he's going to work like crazy to get back. I love this kid. I've been around him just a little bit, but he's everything you want. It is really unfortunate, but I do think once you will get him back. I don't know the time, but it will be invaluable when you do get him back.
I think going back, both of those questions you can't even answer right now. Like, truthfully, if you win this weekend, you'll be favored probably in 1 or maybe even both of your next 2 games. Maybe. I don't know about the Iowa State one.
You're not going to be favored the rest of the way.
Oh, if you win this one, you'll be favored against OU at home. Health of Baron Morton probably matters too. Might turn it into a bet, but it won't happen unless you win.
I'm saying
weekend.
even if you do win.
Okay. You have to win for it to happen.
Close. Okay, let's talk after a win over Kansas.
Okay. Also, and the basketball one, I think you were favored in every single home game last year, weren't you? Or am I misremembering that? I think you were.
No, I think you were.
So I think you kind of have to see what happens up till conference play to be able to answer, even if you're going to be favored against Kansas.
I still
or
feel
Baylor.
pretty good about my answer.
Okay. I think going into the season, that's probably the right answer. Bench sitters, what can we learn from the OSU bashing? Is David Neal containable?
Ooh, yes, he is. Because I'm telling you, if you watch that thing, Jackson could have run for 150 yards against OSU. No effort, no players, just no resistance. So he went for over 200 running, over 100 passing. He's still running on them. Yeah,
I think if you look at quarterbacks, the only ones that you haven't contained this year is Adrian Martinez, right? You've been able.
They're
to
talking about the running back.
Oh, sorry. You've had up and down days.
Bean is the quarterback.
Bean is where I was thinking.
And I don't think Daniels is coming back.
Neal's containable, but
he's
I don't
good.
know.
But
it depends.
You've already played Bijan Robinson and Deuce Vaughn. I mean, he's not those guys.
No.
He's good, but he's not those guys.
You think they get Daniels back this week?
No, I don't.
He was dressed out.
I know, but I don't think he's going to play.
South Texas Ambassador Preston says, what is your grade for Kitley at this point in the season? Says he gives it a C.
Me too.
I probably grade on more of a scale, and again, more homer. I give him a B because of what you've dealt with at quarterback and injury and all that. Feels like an incomplete, but Michael says, honest question, boys. Am I the only one who dislikes or thinks the third down hype videos at the football games are lame and not getting the crowd going?
I'm a little cooked by it all. It's just I'm a little bit tired of athletes pointing at me on hype videos. I saw the Texas one today. What do you quit pointing at me, man?
What are you pointing at?
What do you want from me?
I teach my kid not to point.
Hey, I'm here to support. Quit pointing at me.
Isn't it great? 3-year-olds are the worst at pointing too. Get in public. Look at that, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that guy. Dad, why is he so? Yeah.
We've all been there.
Not knowing who the quarterback is for Kansas, so glad I asked. I mixed up Bean and Neal. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I promise you, I've had a rough weekend. I'll try to be better. I'll try, pal. Benchwarmers, when will we finally be rid of the time Chief? The time changes twice a year.
Next year.
I hope so. Last one. Since our defense can only seem to play 3 full quarters, which quarter do you think they'll drop in this week's game? I feel sarcasm there, Lucas, but let's go with the first so you have time to catch up. Hex, enjoy your Monday.
Listen to us tonight, please.
That's right. Basketball tonight. It's been the End of the Bench on 100.7 The Score.
This has been the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 107thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.